Welcome to the 5th annual Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. celebration, Embracing the Dream. I am Rick Stevens, president of Christian Hospital and the Christian Hospital Foundation. We are pleased you have joined us to celebrate the life and legacy of a great man and all he did for our country. We miss hosting this celebration live inside Christian Hospital's Paul F. Dietrich building over lunch, but we are so glad you are joining us virtually. Today, we are here to honor Dr. King, who was one of humanity's greatest influencers of civil rights, justice, and peace. In a sermon delivered over a half-century ago, the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. described what he called the drum major instinct to the congregation in Atlanta's Ebenezer Baptist Church. The sermon from Dr. King includes the following passage that acknowledged the desire to lead but emphasized selfless motives. Dr. King stated, "If you want to say that I was a drum major, say that I was a drum major for justice. Say that I was a drum major for peace. I was a drum major for righteousness." We all have the drum major instinct. Today, we gather to recognize the influencers of our time by honoring them with the Drum Major Award and award scholarships to healthcare providers of the future. It is now my privilege to introduce today's Master of Ceremony. He is a well-known co-anchor on Today in St. Louis. He started at 5 on Your Side in 2004 as sports director and moved to the morning show in 2016. Rennie has earned 3 Emmys and covered many memorable stories throughout his career. But he says the most exciting thing he's done was travel to South Korea to cover the 2018 Winter Olympics. Please join me in welcoming Rennie Knott.
Thank you, President Stevens. What an excellent introduction. It is indeed my honor to be with you today. I would also like to welcome all of you to the 5th annual Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. celebration, Embracing the Dream. To get us started today, Tracy Smith, Vice President of Barrington Elementary School in the Hazelwood School District, will lead us in singing Lift Every Voice and Sing. After this selection, we will receive an invocation from the Director of Spiritual Care at Christian Hospital, Chaplain Jill Walter Penn.
Lift every voice and sing till earth and heaven ring, ring with the harmonies of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise high as the listening sky. Let it resound high as the rolling sea. Sing a song full of the faith that the dark past has brought us. Sing a song full of the hope that the presence has taught us. Facing the rising sun of our new day begun, let us march on till victory is won. Stony the road we trod, bitter the chastening rod, felt in the days when hope unborn had died, yet with a steady beat have not our weary feet come to the place for which our Father sighed. Oh, we have come over a way that with tears have been watered. We have come treading our path through the blood of the slaughtered, out of the gloomy past. Still now we stand at last, where the white gleam of a bright star is cast, is cast.
Let us give Mrs. Tracy Smith a round of applause. Now, as many of you know, Lift Every Voice and Sing was initially written as a poem by NAACP leader James Weldon Johnson. The poem was then set to music by his brother, John Rosamond Johnson, in 1899. However, it was first performed in public in the Johnsons' hometown of Jacksonville, Florida, as part of a celebration for Lincoln's birthday on February 12, 1900, by a choir of 500 school children at the segregated Stanton School, where James Weldon Johnson was principal. Now I would like to invite Chaplain Jill Walter Penn to give the invocation.
Good afternoon. It's hard to believe that another year has passed and we are again meeting online to celebrate the life and legacy of the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. His gifts, his talents, his ministry live on, and I don't know about you, but I just wish we could be together to celebrate this great life and to sing praises to his name. Perhaps next year we'll be together. And so we meet in spirit, we meet in love, and we meet in solidarity as we continue his work, as we remember his name, and as we praise God's holy name for calling the Reverend Martin Luther King Jr. to the highest of callings. So I ask now that you please bow your heads with me in word of prayer and in celebration of this day. Holy God, I thank you this day for the lives of the great saints and the prophets in the past who have shown to us that we can stand up amid the troubles, the difficulties, and the trials of life and never, ever give up. I thank you for our foreparents who have given us strength in the midst of oppression and exploitation to keep going on, even when it felt like it would be easier to just give up. I ask, O God, that when we feel as if we cannot go on another step, that you breathe your breath of life into us so that we will be able to offer creative contributions to this world that will be a part of the solution and not be a part of the problem. And most of all, Holy God, make us willing to do your will, come what may. Increase the number of people of goodwill and moral sensitivity, and give us renewed confidence in nonviolence and the way of love as taught by Christ. And Holy God, help us to never forget the words of Martin Luther King Jr. when he said, "Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere." These things I pray in your most holy name. Amen.
Thank you, Chaplain Jill. Ladies and gentlemen, I often wonder what Dr. King would think of today's world. What actions and sacrifices would he make to bring change and help unite our nation today? Many things have changed since the Civil Rights Movement, but many struggles such as social and economic equality and health disparities remain the same. In addition, African American men continue to make up the largest portion of those incarcerated in the U.S. prisons and in jails. Now, I appreciate today's MLK celebration at Christian Hospital because it shines light upon African American leaders, young and old, who believe deep in their hearts they will overcome the unfair and unjust obstacles that exist in the world today. Now, it gives me great pleasure to welcome members of the Hazelwood School District student body. They will perform a famous gospel song which became a protest song and a key anthem of the American Civil Rights Movement, along with a birthday celebration in honor of Dr. King.
Yes, deep in our hearts, the Hazelwood Central High School Vocal Ensemble of the Hazelwood School District believes that we shall overcome someday. As we reflect on the many speeches of our dearest Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., we know that the lyrics to that tune rang out by millions and still has great impact on all of us today. Now, as we continue to celebrate Dr. King, I ask you to join us and sing Happy Birthday in a tune that is most famous and recorded by the music legend Stevie Wonder.
Happy birthday to you. Happy
On behalf of the Christian Hospital Foundation, we appreciate the support of all of our sponsors for this afternoon's event. I would like to take a moment to recognize our 5th annual Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s Embracing the Dream presenting sponsor, the Christian Hospital Medical Staff. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Ronke Akintola.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Dr. Ronke Akintola. I am the current Chief of the Medical Staff for Christian Hospital Northeast and Northwest. I want to take a moment to say how proud we are of all of you and the hard work that you've done. Supporting students who want to go into healthcare is something that this medical staff is very passionate about. It's something that we believe in. And we want to commend you as you start this journey or continue, as the case may be, into various areas of healthcare. And we wanted to take a moment to congratulate you, to wish you well, and to send you forth with a little token of our appreciation. Good luck.
Thank you, Doctor, and the Christian Hospital Medical Staff for your investment in our Drum Major Scholarship Program. I would also like to recognize all of our other sponsors who supported this wonderful celebration of the late, great Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and our healthcare leaders of tomorrow. Your generosity, along with the help of today's audience, helps the foundation to provide scholarships for local high school and college students pursuing careers in healthcare, and community benefit programs that increase access to healthcare and reduce health inequities. As part of their commitment to the community, the Christian Hospital Foundation will award scholarships to local high school and community college students interested in pursuing careers in healthcare. These recipients were chosen by the leadership teams within their educational institute. The name of the scholarship is called the Drum Major Scholarships in honor of Dr. King. Today, we will award 11 $1,000 scholarships to local high school students. The St. Louis Community College at Florissant Valley will match each Christian Hospital Foundation scholarship up to $500, redeemable for tuition or books if students attend classes at their educational institution to support the Drum Major Scholarship Program. Thank you, St. Louis Community College at Florissant Valley, for your generosity in matching these scholarships. I would like to introduce our first scholarship winner, Kiara McMahon. She is a student at Cardinal Ritter College Prep. Kiara currently ranks in the top 20 among her peers. She is a caregiver for her brother with autism, tutored students at Ford Elementary, and works a part-time job while maintaining a 3.59 grade point average. She plans to attend Southern Illinois University to major in biology. Her end goal is to become a pediatrician.
Receiving this scholarship to me makes me feel that I have more responsibility, I have better things to manage, and I'm not just blowing it. I'm actually doing something good with it to better myself in the future.
Congratulations, Kiara. Our next student scholar is Rihanna Johnson from McClure North in the Ferguson-Florissant School District. Throughout her 4 years in high school, she has sought out the most challenging curriculum available to her, which explains why she joined the International Baccalaureate Diploma Program. This program has prepared her for the rigorous coursework to become a pre-med student. With a 5.0 GPA, she is a Star Guard Elite Lifeguard, CPR certified, involved in the International Club, and is a member of the Honors Spanish Society. Other extracurricular activities include orchestra, swim, tennis, cross-country, quilting, and yes, much more. In addition to working part-time, Rihanna is involved in a host of community service projects. She discovered her fascination with anatomy and her love for biology after her medical diagnosis and seeing how unknowledgeable the experts were on her disorder, which only impacted minorities. Although she has yet to commit to an institution for higher learning, she is interested in pursuing a biology-focused pre-med career.
I feel like my community needs more representation, so I feel like being a doctor gives me the opportunity to provide that representation, and also my own experience. I feel like battling my own disorder has given me the experience that I would need to advocate on behalf of Black and Brown people in my community so that our needs are looked at as equal to the majority.
Congratulations, Rihanna. Our next student attends Hazelwood Central High School Ariane Jefferson has a 3.8 GPA and is taking advanced honor courses in AP Calculus, ACC Physiology, Anatomy, and English Prep. She is a member of the Student Council, serves on the Yearbook Committee, and is a proud member of the 4-H Club. To date, her medical-focused training includes St. Louis University's School of Medicine Summer Scholars Program, Virtual Research Program at Seattle Children's Research Institute, Articulate, and Washington University's Twin Study. Witnessing her mom's compassion for the patients she encountered as a hospital respiratory therapist inspired Ariane's passion for becoming an emergency room physician.
The main goal for me to affect change in my community is just to really come up with more things and opportunities just for children in St. Louis. I know St. Louis is a very dangerous city, and it's just been a lot of things that have been happening that's preventing children our age to walk around the city and have fun. So I think we should really have more events and buildings made for people around my age that can really enjoy themselves to make it more safe.
Congratulations, Ariane. I am pleased to introduce Omalabake Oyeba Miji from Hazelwood West as our next scholar. She keeps her eyes on her goals, folks. She has taken the most challenging courses that Hazelwood West has to offer and has won top awards for her achievement. As current vice president of the National Honor Society and Key Club, she volunteers as a peer tutor for all grade levels in algebra, pre-calculus, geometry, project Lead the Way biomedical courses, along with many more. She has completed many great science programs in the metropolitan area, such as the Student Researcher, Youth Science Program, and Prairie Outreach Program at Washington University, and the BEST Program at the University of Health Sciences and Pharmacy. Omalabake currently maintains a 4.28 GPA, and her number one school of choice is Johns Hopkins.
Well, like a lot of people, I feel like change begins at a very young age. And throughout my high school career, I've had a lot of mentors that have developed me academically, professionally, and personally. So something that I want to do when I get older is offer that same mentorship to people who are in high school or middle school or even elementary school, because I feel like obviously there's a lot to learn from other people, from your own mistakes, but I feel like it's so much easier to learn from other people's mistakes. So I'd like to offer that guidance to people who are younger than me. And then again, focusing on health disparities is something that I'm also really passionate about, because I used to think that by being a doctor or a health administrator that I could solve all of these problems involving health disparities, but it's obviously a systemic issue, so that requires a systemic approach to it. So I think I'd like to go about that issue by advocating for social justice to be infused into medicine, by researching about it and making that information accessible to the public, and by showing young people of color that there's a space for them in healthcare.
Congratulations, Omalabake. Our next scholar is Emma Classing from Incarnate Word Academy. Since the age of 13, Emma has wanted to enter the medical field. Her dreams are to become a physical therapist. Emma is a student athlete. She serves as captain of the varsity volleyball team and participates on 2 swim teams. In addition, Emma is the vice president of the National Honor Society and is an officer in the Diversity Club. Other extracurricular activities include the Incarnate Word Academy's theater program, International Thespian Society, Yearbook Club, and the Harry Potter Club. To date, Emma has completed more than 100 hours of community service for various organizations.
I want to make sure that everyone has access to the care that they need. So one of my goals is to go to rural areas and offer physical therapy care to those who don't have access to it.
Congratulations, Emma. Our next student is Aja Williams with Jennings Senior High School and College Preparatory Academy. As a young child, Aja knew she was a natural caregiver. Helping people is what she enjoyed the most. Therefore, it is no surprise to her friends and her loved ones that she would aspire to be a registered nurse. She has a 3.29 GPA and desires to attend the University of Missouri St. Louis. Aja is involved in many extracurricular activities. She is an active member of the Student Council, Health Occupation Students of America, Project Lead the Way, District Concert Choir, and is a majorette.
I have dreamed and dreamed and dreamed about going to college and what it would be like But I also struggle because I have a lot of siblings. So money isn't as readily as it can be. And receiving the scholarship actually takes off a lot of weight on not only myself, but my mother as well.
Congratulations, Aja. Our next student is Durand Woods, an honor student at Lutheran High School North. He is a member of the football and basketball teams and has high honors in ACC Lit Comp 3, ACC American History, ACC Spanish 3, ACC Faith Doubt, and Literature. He has been on the honor roll throughout his entire high school years. Durand works part-time and still manages to volunteer. He is fascinated with the human brain and all things dealing with human behavior. He wants to pursue a career in psychotherapy. And at this time, he is undecided as to what university that he plans to attend.
This scholarship means to me that it's like a first in the beginning where I can pursue my career in the future. I feel like it's a first step in pursuing what I want to do. And I think it's going to help me throughout life and to just help me support people and help people with their goals.
Congratulations, Durand. I would like to introduce our next student, Niana Nix from Normandy High School. Niana's love for babies has inspired her to set the bar high and forge ahead to become a neonatologist. She is an active member of the Family, Career, and Community Leaders of America, Key Club International Service Organization, and Normandy Viking Elegant Emeralds Dance Team. Niana has a 3.1 grade point average.
Receiving this scholarship means everything to me. It is supporting my dreams and also paving my way to success.
Congratulations, Niana. Next, we have Kayla Wenzel from the Pattonville School District. Kayla is a member of the National Honor Society and participates in the Renaissance Club and CNA program. She has a 4.17 GPA. Kayla is also an athlete. She has played on the varsity volleyball team throughout her high school years. Her community service work includes math tutoring at Heights Middle School and managing Pattonville's freshman/junior varsity volleyball team. Kayla has a deep and vested interest in science. Following graduation, she plans to work as a CNA while attending St. Louis Community College to study nursing.
I am very excited for my future. I've wanted to be a nurse since I was like a little kid. It's been like my dream job, so to finally be able to actually do that, I'm really excited.
Congratulations, Kayla. Next, we have Gabby Rojo from Rittner High School. Gabby is currently holding a 4.62 GPA and is a member of the National Honor Society. She is a member of the Mathematics Honor Society, Mu Alpha Theta, Game Changers, and Student Council. Gabby is heavily involved in extracurricular activities. She has held multiple leadership positions, including Class of 2022 Vice President, Percussion Section Leader, Drumline Co-Captain, and HOSA Officer. Throughout her tenure at Rittner High School, she has been on the honor roll and received perfect attendance awards. Gabby plans to earn a bachelor's degree in biomedical sciences following the pre-health track, concentrating on physical therapy at Washington University.
I would like to affect change in my community by becoming a voice for those who I can represent, as well as pursuing biomedical sciences at WashU. I will minor in Spanish so I can get my medical Spanish certificate afterward.
Congratulations, Gabby. Now join me in welcoming Courtney Stewart from Riverview Gardens School District. Courtney ranks number 5 in her graduating class and maintains a 4.4 GPA. Her career goal is to become a world-renowned cardiothoracic surgeon. Courtney believes in the power of medicine. Upon completing her residency, she plans to come back to her community and open up a healthcare clinic where she will provide professional services on making healthy lifestyle changes to help prevent or slow down progression of heart disease. Courtney has received numerous awards, including but not limited to the Certificate of Recognition from Lincoln University for completing the ACE Club, certification in completing the GAP Scholars Workshop, accreditation for the Best Pharmacy Program.
I am excited for my future. Desiring to become a physician in the medical field, specifically a surgeon, gives me the opportunity to use my innovative ideas to help new people every day. I will be able to interact with patients from different backgrounds and cultures and incorporate new information that will help save their lives. I want to focus on the patient as a whole
and treat and treat the whole body and not just the disease.
Congratulations, Courtney. Now it is time for us to recognize our two nursing students graduating from St. Louis Community College at Florissant Valley and joining the Christian Hospital staff. Both students will receive a $5,000 scholarship to offset their tuition and be eligible for Christian Hospital's loan forgiveness program. Congratulations, Amy Greger and Christine Austin. Ladies and gentlemen, you just had a chance to meet our future influencers and drum majors of tomorrow. Now I'm going to turn things over to President Rick Stevens, who will introduce and recognize our 2022 Drum Major awardees who selflessly perform daily acts of service to make their community and our world a better place.
One of the great privileges of my job is having the opportunity to personally recognize our region's most committed leaders by presenting them with a Drum Major Award. Dr. Donald Suggs was chosen as a 2022 Drum Major awardee because he is a true champion for civil rights, the arts, and civic affairs. He was active in the civil rights movement in the 60s and 70s and served as chairman of the Poor People's March on Washington in 1968. Later, he became founder and chairman of the African Continuum, organized to bring serious non-commercial African-American artistic endeavors to St. Louis. Join us in welcoming Dr. Donald Suggs. Good afternoon, Dr. Suggs. Please tell us what being called a drum major means to you and why you stand with Christian Hospital and its foundation's commitment to building healthy communities.
Christian Hospital has a long, illustrious history of service to the community. And while that community has changed, Christian Hospital has continued to expand and to continue its mission to serve its community. There's something so basic about healthcare, not only its direct benefit, but the indirect benefits of quality health care are important for any community. And we're fortunate to have an institution like Christian Hospital. I think the more involvement we get from community, the stronger the community becomes. And so I think that the more involvement we get on the part of individuals who come together around like-minded ideas, and I think what for me is particularly important is that we put in public office people who are determining policy and trying to advance the improvement of the community, be conscientious and able and effective. The caliber of leadership reflects often how effective communities will be in advancing their shared interests. So I think that the stronger the leadership, the more likely we are to get the kind of outcomes and have the kind of impact that this community so sorely needs. And I think the St. Louis American as a messenger can be helpful sometimes in making certain that the messages are shared not just in North County, but also across the county and across the region.
Thank you, Dr. Suggs, for being an avid change agent in the civil rights movement and oral health space. Our next Drum Major awardee is Charlotte Hammond, President and CEO of Challenge Unlimited, Inc. In her work as President and CEO of Challenge Unlimited, Inc., Charlotte is dedicated to discrediting many of the prejudices and stereotypes that unfairly hold disabled people back from finding work and integrating into society. Martin Luther King once said, "Our lives begin to end the day we become silent about things that matter." Charlotte is never silent when advocating for those who are disabled. Her motto is service above self. Would you please join me in welcoming Charlotte Hammond? Thank you, Charlotte, for joining us. What does receiving the Drum Major Award mean to you? Also, if you could change one thing about the work you do in the community, what would it be?
Well, it was really humbling to be recognized for the actions that characterize the work of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. So as I reflect, being called a drum major in this field of advocacy for individuals with disabilities is orchestrating loudly the abilities and values that persons with disabilities have and can bring to employers and their communities. The mission of Challenge Unlimited is to assist people with disability to live, work, and participate in their communities. I learned from a very young age the importance of healthcare and accessibility and preventative care. A lot of those experiences really led to the position that I have today in understanding the importance of like a Christian hospital foundation. The tagline within our organization is the pathway for all abilities for employment starts here. Christian Hospital is important to North County because Christian has become a staple organization within our community. Under the leadership of Rick Stevens, I saw a difference in reaching out to the community and providing more wraparound services, because at the end of the day, those wraparound services impact the healthcare of our community. If I could change two things that we provide in the community, one would be to expand our services beyond the number of people that we're currently working with. There is such a need in the community, and to really reach and to get those tentacles out there would be really, really critical, in addition to working with more business leaders in the community to employ the individuals that we're working with.
Thank you, Charlotte, for being an advocate for those in need. Our next Drum Major awardee is Michael McMillan, President and CEO of the Urban League of Metropolitan St. Louis. The Urban League of Metropolitan St. Louis is a nonprofit organization providing social services to the metropolitan St. Louis community since 1918. The agency's mission is to assist African Americans and others throughout the region in securing economic self-reliance, social equality, and civil rights. President McMillan has received hundreds of awards and commendations from various organizations and was recently inducted into the International Civil Rights Walk of Fame as its youngest member. Please join me in welcoming President McMillan. Welcome, Michael. Tell us, what does being called a drum major mean to you, and why you are personally committed to empowering the communities Christian Hospital serves?
Well, it's truly an honor to be called a drum major, because when you think about Dr. King and his legacy and what he meant to not only this country, but the world, and for him to talk about drum majors and making a difference, giving back, helping humanity, and being called that by getting this award is something that I truly treasure and I'm very grateful for. As a resident of North County and someone who works in North County every single day, I think it is a fantastic area. I would suggest that any person that really wants to make a difference, get involved in their neighborhood association, get involved in the Federation of Block Units, get involved in some type of organization that is going to be a part of a collective change that fits the mission and passion that you have as an individual. The biggest thing that I would change about the work of the Urban League is the fact that we need more resources to have a greater impact for more people that are in need. I stand with Christian Hospital because it stands with me. It stands with the community, it stands with those of us that live in North County, and some place that we can all go to when we need that actual help in the area where we live.
Thank you, Michael, for all that you do for the St. Louis region. Our next Drum Major awardee's actions of service have undoubtedly embraced Dr. King's famous quote, "Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere." John Bowman, President of the St. Louis County NAACP, has worked in the Missouri legislature, first as a representative and then as the Chief of Staff for Senator Robin Wright Jones. He also was a member of the Coalition of Black Trade Unionists and a 25-year member of the United Auto Workers. John speaks truth to power in underserved areas. He is dedicated to fighting for equal rights for all and defending rights through advocacy. John has acknowledged his pledge of service is a credit to his parents. They inspired him to take on causes and problems on behalf of the world's underdogs. Please join me in congratulating President John Bowman. So John, tell us what being called a drum major means to you and what drives you to fight for equality for all in our region.
To say I am honored is an understatement. When you choose to dedicate your life to uplift your community through community engagement and organizing, you don't do it for the accolades. It's more about the community than it is me. And I am very grateful to Christian Hospital's foundation. St. Louis remains one of the most segregated metropolitan areas in America, still enduring the severe effects of structural and systematic racism and anti-Black policies and systems. These systems of oppression have led to low-resource communities with higher rates of poverty, unemployment, and crime. We must support local businesses and build a solid economic infrastructure that builds up our community, reach educational equity for our children, and local law enforcement needs to reflect our community through racial diversity. Christian Hospital has been a staple in St. Louis County for years. It is a dependable institution, and the community knows Christian Hospital is dedicated to delivering the highest quality of care right here in our community. If we put people first, then all of the decision makers and policies will advance society using various approaches and strategies, but our goal will be the same. I stand with Christian Hospital because they have not abandoned North St. Louis County in our darkest hour. Christian Hospital has been standing up with and for our community. It is important for individuals and organizations to partner with Christian Hospital Foundation because health equity is achieved when we all matter, and the community is working together to build a healthier community. We know that where you live is an important indicator of your health, and low-income and communities of colors face more challenges. Therefore, we need organizations like Christian Hospital Foundation to be the drivers of change that partner with the community to create policy, systems, and environmental changes that improve the health and well-being of the community overall.
Thank you, John. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. once said that complete education gives one the power of concentration and worthy objectives upon which to concentrate. Our next drum major, Andrea Hoosman, founder of Haywood Hoosman Realty, is devoted to assisting young adults from the region who need assistance for higher education. Honoring her late husband, Andrea has provided numerous scholarships to our youth in North St. Louis County and beyond. These scholarships plant seeds today for our drum majors of tomorrow. Please join me in welcoming Andrea Hoosman. Good afternoon, Andrea. What does it mean to you to receive the Drum Major Award, and why do you support the Christian Hospital Foundation's pursuit to build healthy communities in the areas that Christian Hospital serves?
Man, it means the world to me, first of all, to be on the recognition level that my other awardees will be. I'm certainly grateful for this opportunity. But to be a drum major, when I look at it, I look at the person that is leading by example. I am a citizen and a resident of North County. So in my 12 years of residing in the community, I've watched them close up 4 grocery stores around my neighborhood personally. So therefore, we are so extremely debilitated when it comes to our resources, which is what is critical for our well-being here. Christian Hospital is doing a phenomenal job. First of all, they stayed with us, where, as we just expressed, how the grocery stores have left us, Christian Hospital didn't. I stand with Christian Hospital because I believe in what they're doing. I believe in what they've already proven as far as the families that they have supported, as far as making the changes and improvements within that hospital itself. They have some of the best doctors. They have some of the best resources. They have made themselves a staple, and I'm going to be right there with them the entire way. With everything they're doing, they are the drum majors. They deserve the award, even though they're providing it to us. So I say to you that as a drum major, Christian Hospital is setting the standard, they're setting the pace, and they're helping us know that they are enriched and engrossed in what our community does for change. Thank you so much, Christian Hospital, for your Christian Hospital Foundation, for your recognition today. I'm grateful, I'm honored, and I appreciate you.
Thank you, Andrea, for your support.
Thank you, President Stevens, and congratulations to all of our 2022 Drum Major awardees. We appreciate your hard work and your tireless dedication to our community. Now, before I turn our program over to President Rick Stevens and President William Tate, I would like to remind you, ladies and gentlemen, about the significance of having Christian Hospital and Northwest Healthcare in the communities that they serve. The money that you give today directly impacts the North County community through the work that the Christian Hospital Foundation supports every day. This makes a difference in the lives of your family, your friends, and your neighbors. I would like to invite Christian Hospital's Executive Director, Nicole Chung, to say a few words.
Hi, my name is Nicole Chung, and I'm the Director for the Christian Hospital Foundation. Thank you so much for joining our 5th Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Embracing the Dream celebration. As we've seen during the COVID-19 pandemic, our healthcare heroes have worked tirelessly for so many months fighting this heartbreaking pandemic. Can you imagine a world with critical staffing shortages for physicians, nurses, physical therapists, or pharmacists for that matter? The results from a 2021 Washington Post Kaiser Family Foundation survey found that nearly 30% of healthcare workers are considering leaving their profession altogether, and nearly 60% reported impacts to their mental health stemming from their work during the pandemic. While the statistics may sound daunting, there is a solution. The answer is financial investment in the next generation of caregivers through scholarships. Gifts of all sizes can truly make a difference in the health and wellness of our family, friends, and neighbors. Your investment today will help address the healthcare provider shortages in the Christian hospital community and across our region. Your giving supports the continued education of our future medical workforce. Together, we can rebuild the healthcare industry. Remember, when we or any of our loved ones are sick, we count on our healthcare professionals to get us through the challenge. So join us in investing in our future. Thank you.
Thank you, Nicole. We have President William Tate IV with us today. He's the first African-American president in the history of Louisiana State University, joining President Rick Stevens for a conversation related to rising above the challenges of race, inequalities, and exclusions.
Well, welcome to the 5th annual MLK celebration here at Christian Hospital. Thank you for joining us. I'm honored to have with us today the 28th president of Louisiana State University, Dr. William Tate. What makes this so special is Dr. William Tate is the first Black president of Louisiana State University. So with that, I would like to ask Dr. William Tate, tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell us who you are, where you came from, and how you got to Louisiana State University.
Well, thank you for the invitation. I appreciate being here. I identify first and primarily as a Christian man, a husband, a father, brother, a friend. That's how I think about myself as a person. Obviously, I'm an academic and a researcher, and that's a big part of my identity as well. And I really treasure that. That's something that comes from hard work and an opportunity structure that was very, very robust for me. I'm originally from Chicago, Illinois, and went to school there through elementary and high school, and then college in Illinois, and moved to Texas to continue my education, and finally Maryland to earn a PhD. The journey here started really early in life, in my opinion. I always say that my grandparents had a great influence on me on both sides of my family, deeply wedded to promoting education, and I took it seriously, and fortunately I had some opportunities that worked out. My journey started after my PhD education at the University of Maryland, College Park. I went to the University of Wisconsin-Madison for a decade. That's a very important time for me because from a value point of view, it helped me understand the importance of higher education for a state Wisconsin idea. It was a simple one at the University of Wisconsin. Should impact the lives of every family in the state of Wisconsin. So that's been a big part of how I view the journey. And after leaving UW, I moved to Washington University in St. Louis, where I spent 18 years of my career. Great experience in St. Louis, and I raised my family there. Great opportunity to be at a wonderful research environment. And subsequently, after my WashU tenure, I moved to the University of South Carolina, where I served as provost and vice president for academic affairs, and then finally here at LSU.
You know, Dr. Tate, you're the first Black president of LSU. I'm the first Black president at BJC Healthcare. As you know, you spent some time here in St. Louis. And so I often get asked the question of, well, how did you get there? How did you do it? And I have to look back on a lot of things in my life of how I got here. One was my faith, as you talked about being a Christian man, but then also you talked about your grandparents and you talked about those influencers. So tell us, how did you get to be the first Black president within the SEC, if I'm not mistaken, and at LSU? What were some of the influences that you had to get you there?
Right, so if I start early, it would be the influence. Probably my grandmother was an educator, and she emphasized education in Chicago. We did a lot of things every weekend to sort of develop my interest in science and math. And I attended a Catholic elementary school in Chicago, Holy Angels, that was led by a gentleman, Father Clements, who was a very, very activist kind of priest. We could spend a whole show on that. But reality is, in that context, the importance of education and applying what you learned in society was emphasized. It was extremely important. I would say that that's where I had my foundational learning experiences in science and math, but also the importance of giving back. I really credit them with that. And then my grandfather and grandmother on my mother's side really were actively involved in promoting education as well. I don't want to minimize my parents. They were important, but they were young, and I believe you need almost 2 generations to sort of shape and mold. And so I had that. Subsequently, when I entered undergrad, I had an advisor who, unbeknownst to him, actually had faith in me in ways that were quite shocking. I did not really do as well as I should have in math when I was in high school. And when I told him I wanted to get a PhD at the time, he said, well, you need a better math background. His name is Dean Ngadi. I would talk about him because he said, I want you to get a minor in math. I was an econ major. I said, you gotta be kidding me. And he said, no, you should go for it. We used the language back then, just take the plunge, jump into the deep end.
Right.
And he just encouraged throughout the process, and that was great. And then I did it, and as fate would have it, I was a tutor, and I did an undergraduate assistantship in the math department, really building up my confidence. And then afterwards, I ended up going to Texas, and I had another advisor there, George Fair, who's still a dean to this day, who introduced me to the field of math education. Great man. Really very, very strong. And it was the first time I'd actually seen an African-American in higher ed as a professor. I think that it was the first Black professor I ever had. And he was really impactful. And subsequently, I ended up in Maryland. And again, I don't know if it was fate or whatever, but I ended up with a major professor who was an African-American man. He was the first Black African-American full professor at the University of Maryland, College Park. And that was my major professor, and he looked out for me. I learned a lot from Dr. Johnson about how to navigate the academy and the like. And from there, now you have this foundation, you have the role models that you can relate to. And for me, though, I think it was powerful that my role models were from diverse backgrounds. Dean Ngadi was not the same ethnic background that I was in, and then my other 2 role models were. And they all had something in common. They just seemed to care about people and want to give people an opportunity. And they just bet on you. A lot of this is people just betting on you, and if you go back and talk to them, they would probably say, oh, I didn't know if he was going to make it or not. But, they just said, we're going to take a chance on this guy and try to help him. I call it sponsored mobility. That's what they call it in sociology. You just have people who decide they want to, help you out. And that got me to be an assistant professor. And then once I get to Wisconsin, I have just this unbelievable experience as an assistant and associate professor, and many great mentors there, Gloria Lassing-Billings, Carl Grant, just a community of people who want to make sure you're successful as a young scholar and help you understand that scholarship is extremely important, but scholarship that's applied to helping people is also very important.
So Dr. Tate, you had mentors, you had role models, you had a great foundation. I think that's great. And we're part of organizations that are doing just that for our community and for our kids of today. So I think that's great that we can share this kind of message with the college students and also our high school students and any young person of today of how to get to that next level. So Dr. King called on each of us to redefine greatness by becoming drum majors in the quest for justice, peace, and righteousness. What words of wisdom can you share with our young, aspiring leaders of today?
First of all, I would recommend everybody go back and listen to that sermon that he provided. It was really arguably one of the best speeches given related to human relations offered to mankind. In the context of that, I would just want to reemphasize his words. The first part of that sermon, he lays out that everybody is a drum major of some form or fashion. One way you can be a drum major is basically promoting yourself in egotistical fashion and operating in a way that really doesn't take in consideration your fellow man. And his point is, you're going to represent something. And it's either going to be you're representing your own individualistic needs and desires. There's nothing wrong with self-interest, but self-interest taken to a point of where it's just really all about you is a form of dysfunction. I would say that warning is as important as what he offers us in terms of how he really frames an obituary for himself, where he says he wants to be known as someone who served others, where he wanted to be known as someone who fought a good fight for opportunity. He wanted to be known as someone who cared and loved his fellow man and mankind. And I think that we all have to understand that ultimately we are in a duality and you have to make a choice. Are you going to be one or the other? And for me, I think the lesson to be learned is that he just says, why don't you pivot and have your obituary written in such a way that people look back on your life and you've actually given to other people with whatever talents and gifts that you might have. And I think that's extremely important. And I will emphasize more important in our age of social media, where what I see and observe is a level of hostility and unkind behavior to a point that it's normalizing what I consider to be the first kind of drum major that he warned us about, being egocentric and prioritizing your own self-interest over the other. And I'm not going to put it all on social media. Social media just is a tablet that allows us to see the dysfunction. And so I really am concerned that our young people understand that giving to others and supporting others is really a foundational part of being a human being.
So as president of a large university, how do you empower young people to work for justice and become agents of change in addressing issues that negatively impact the advancement for the people of color?
You know, the interesting question is, what is the purpose of a university? First and foremost, the purposes of a university are two. One is to capture and document our past and to make clear our culture. And two is to protect and secure our future. And generally we think about this duality as the humanities are the ones or the colleagues in the classes that study our past and help us understand our culture. And the social sciences, engineering, and science are the ones who create things that help us understand how to go forward and protect our future. So you think about medical research or climate research or people who study institutions as individuals who are protecting our future because they're giving us ways to go forward. What I submit to you is that by providing an education to people who maybe wouldn't have access before, they get a firm foundation on our past. And as a colleague said to me, ignorance of history is the mother of invention. You want people to understand, what have we done? And a big part of that is to ask, the great movie, A Wonderful Life. If you think about that movie and you ask yourself, what would happen if universities didn't exist in our culture? Well, your hospital probably wouldn't exist. Point of fact, there wouldn't be any of the medical advances in that hospital. None of that would exist. The cancer interventions, MRIs, every single thing that's in that hospital that's protecting people's future came from an investment from the past. And that's what our humanists should be teaching. That's extremely important. Simultaneously, if we give access, some set of those students are going to help with the new cancer advancements. That's what we're here for. That's the agenda. And I say there's 3 values that we hope all students have when they leave a university. Number 1, they understand the importance of seeking the truth. Number 2, once they understand the truth, they understand that they have to be courageous with it. They need to be a courageous individual. And 3, they have to be empathetic, because when you know the truth, and not everybody will understand it, you have to have some empathy in which you want to share and help support others. And I think that's the foundational point of the university. Any deviation from that is a complete fail.
I think you're absolutely right. Here at Christian Hospital, we have our MLK celebration, and we honor drum majors in our community. And I call you a drum major. You're out front, you're leading. You just told us what the students need as they come and they leave the university. I studied you while you were here. And so, iron sharpens iron. And so I appreciate you for being a drum major. You won't call yourself a drum major, but you really are. And so just with that being said, and me studying you, watching how you worked and how you act and how you navigated the different waters here in St. Louis, South Carolina, and now LSU, what truly is a drum major in today's society?
In the end, Dr. King said, serving other people was the foundational deal for being a drum major. And I think you serve in love and humility. Well, at least this is how I live my life, because that's what you're asking me. I try to wake up in the morning and ask myself, how can I help other people today? Whether I'm at LSU or Washington University in St. Louis or South Carolina or the University of Wisconsin, what can we do in our role to actually help other people? And to do so with care and with empathy, and recognizing that we're in the discovery business, and discovering truth is a painful thing for people to see because sometimes it doesn't align with their ideological perspective. And so for me, it's really the business of teaching and learning and doing so with empathy. I'm moved by that. It's always been who I've wanted to be, and I've tried to model that in my own behavior. It's a tough thing to do. As Dr. King said in that sermon, we're inclined in the flesh to literally want to center ourselves in the story. Everyone wants acclaim. It's natural, right? But if you want to fight that and turn from that and say, I want to center other people, how can I use the resources that I've been given to help them? That's a beautiful life. And for young people, I would say, I want you to get awards. I want you to get degrees. I want you to experience economic stability and things to go well. I know how tough it is to live in North St. Louis. I grew up in the South Side of Chicago. It's not much different really than North St. Louis. And what I would say is all those things are important, but you're on the right side of it when you start to develop your mind and your body and your activities, and it's really beginning to have a positive influence on other people. All the rest will take care of itself. You'll be fine if you can do those kinds of things. And that's what I would encourage young people to do. Not that I don't want people to think that I'm saying don't be a scientist. A lot of times folks will say, well, scientists don't change anybody's lives. Yes, they do. Look at this pandemic. Almost everything that we've dealt with that's actually saved lives have come from science. It is an empathetic deal. It has a set of principles that have to be applied. And then once done, we can take it and put it in hospitals or in school settings, and we can save lives. And I just want folks to understand that you can take almost any vocation and turn it into something that's actually difference making for other people in a really positive way. And so that's what I would encourage young folks to think about and to try to engage. Art, history, science, engineering, technology, you pick it, you can make a difference in somebody's life.
Servant leadership, that's one of my leadership principles that we have here at Christian Hospital. I've seen you to be a servant leader in the role that you are in now. You're definitely a servant leader, and definitely the tie between the university and the hospital, you're spot on, because the science that we practice in the hospital comes out of a university setting. Dr. Tate, I want to thank you for enhancing our MLK celebration today, and I want to thank you for your words of wisdom and encouragement that you've shared with us this morning. So, Dr. William Tate, the 28th president of Louisiana State University, we want to thank you again for being a part of our 5th annual MLK celebration. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you, and I will always be connected to St. Louis, and it means a lot to me to be part of your celebration, and much success to you in your endeavors. You're a very important entity for the community.
Thank you so much, sir. Have a great day.
Wow, what a great discussion. Being the first African American is never easy. President William Tate IV indeed possesses genuine drum major instinct qualities. Thank you, President Stevens and Tate, for this engaging conversations. Now, before the benediction, I'd like to turn the program back over to President Rick Stevens.
It's hard to believe Martin Luther King Jr. would have turned 93 years old on Monday, January 17th. However, his relentless fight to ensure civil rights for all people, regardless of race, lasted only 13 years. Unfortunately, many of the challenges he fought against are still relevant today. Examples include voting rights, social injustice, poverty, and racial inequalities in healthcare and education. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm asking you to help us keep his legacy alive by making a monetary gift to the Christian Hospital Foundation Scholarship Fund to support our influencers of tomorrow. Contributions of all sizes are appreciated. No donation is too small. Your investment will support inspiring healthcare providers living in our community to become future medical leaders, hopefully in the communities that Christian Hospital serves.
Thank you, Rick. And to everyone who has supported the 5th annual Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Celebration Luncheon, Embracing the Dream. Now, before we close, please mark your calendar for the following activities. The Christian Hospital Foundation Gala, February 12th at 5:30. The Christian Hospital Foundation Golf Outing on Monday, May 23rd, shotgun start at 11 o'clock in the morning. We appreciate your continued support of Christian Hospital and the Christian Hospital Foundation. We would like to thank our sponsors for supporting the Christian Hospital Foundation, and we hope to see you in person at the 2023 celebration. Now, Reverend Dr. William Johnson III, the chaplain for the palliative and spiritual care at Christian Hospital, will close today's program with the benediction.
Oh Lord, we pray for vigilance and vigor, for faith, that we shall never forget the journey in the road that we have traveled. We pray for faith to remember our past, for faith to reclaim our present, for faith to redirect and shape our futures. We are aware that you often select those who would lead us to each mountain and through every valley. We pray now for sainted and faithful leaders of yesterday. We pray now for those who would bless and lead us today, and we pray now for those who would lead us tomorrow. We pray for those that they might have character, courage, and commitment for the causes that would uplift creation. We ask that you would forgive us for the ways in which we have ignored the voices of prophets that you have placed in our midst to shine a light and give direction toward our tomorrow. We ask you for forgiveness for the ways in which we have allowed personal pursuits and petty politics to drown out the pain of your people who are struggling with daily life. Thank you for young leaders like Malik Alim, whose life and leadership and legacy shall never be forgotten.
We have to actively double down our efforts and make sure that our policies are pushed forward and that our work that we do in advocating for the Pretrial Fairness Act that we're talking about today, or whatever reform that we're talking about, right now is the time to push. The Pretrial Fairness Act contains so many different provisions that will make the lives of people who find themselves in the criminal justice system in Illinois a lot easier.
We pray for young leaders like him and others who grieve like you grieve, whose hearts ache like your own heart aches, who give of themselves selflessly as you would have each of us to do. Bless us to be drum majors, to lead in our own respective lives in ways that others would want to follow. And we thank you for the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., who was such a drum major, who gave his life as a light and a lamp for all of us to see, who now we celebrate and we remember, knowing that he has sparked a renewed vigilance for activism, for love of people, and most of all, in service to one another. Amen.